Alright, so I'm just gonna dive straight into this video, right? Boxing event, Nate Diaz, Jake Paul. Jake Paul easily won the fight. I mean, it wasn't really much of a problem for him. Knocked Nate Diaz down. Nate Diaz, yeah, that was like Jake Paul the entire time. Nate Diaz had a few moments, but other than that, Jake Paul controlled the whole fight. Literally dropped Nate Diaz. And it looks like they're going to do the rematch inside of MMA. So that's going to be fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? $10 million for Nate Diaz. He better take that fight. You know what I'm saying? Get that money. And yeah, pretty much that with you know, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. That was literally all it was. Like, there was nothing else to it. Now we move on to Sandhagen versus Font, right? We're gonna talk about that card. Rob Font is a bum, man. I could never, ever, and sometimes it's hard for me, I'll be honest, when I place a bet on a fighter and they just, oh God, let's get into it. Like, literally the only thing, literally that fight, this man, Rob Font, every single time Corey Sandhagen attempted a takedown, he easily got it. When I say there was zero resistance from Rob Font on the takedowns, zero, literally zero. It was hard to watch. 20 minutes of control time for Corey Sandhagen. And the one thing that I've come to realize about the bantamweight division, nobody's beating Aljo. Nobody's beating Merab. The only way they have a chance in hell to beat any of those guys is by a quick knockout, first round knockout. When I say they have zero chance to win those, they just have no chance. We're gonna have to see some MMA crazy stuff. We're gonna have to see a KO. Like when Sean O'Malley fights Aljamain Sterling in 2 weeks, he has zero chance. If these guys are getting out wrestled by Corey Sandhagen, the fact that they had the audacity to talk about his title shot is hilarious. And that performance from Corey Sandhagen was just, it was even worse. Like, he just laid on top the whole time, didn't really look for a finish. Only went for the finish like one real time. He tried to go for an anaconda choke. That was really it. He literally did nothing but get a takedown and lay there. And I'm not knocking him for that, but bro, at least try to go for the finish. Like, what the hell are you doing? It was one of the worst fights I've seen all year. And here I am thinking that fight's supposed to be fireworks. So moving on the line, Tatiana Suarez dominated Jessica Andrade. Like, Andrade had nothing. It was pretty obvious that Suarez was going to go in there and do what she needed to do with the wrestling, and she did just that. Won by guillotine choke. Fight before that, Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy and Nzechukwu, and I'm mad at myself for this. I don't know why I didn't have more common sense. I mean, Kennedy and Nzechukwu, he gets hurt too much in fights, and in MMA, these guys that are supposed to be durable and warriors, like, I'm gonna stop relying on them for betting or just even just for a pick, because when you get hurt that often in MMA, as soon as you get that one, stuff like that can happen. You can either get Tony Ferguson, where you're just getting beat up repeatedly, or you can get Kennedy and Nzechukwu, where you just get finished quickly in the first round. So done doing that. It was a quick fight. Jacoby just did what he had to do. He was a better technical striker. I think everybody knew that, but it was just the toughness of, you know, Kennedy that kind of, I think, had people, including myself, like, oh, maybe Kennedy can win, and I was wrong. So lock of the week, or my underdog of the night, went terrible, so we're now 0 for 2. Sadly, it is what it is. I knew I should have picked Cody Darrington. I didn't do it. Paid the price. But Diego Lopes, he's dangerous, man. He's super duper dangerous. And even though, you know, his wins outside of the UFC obviously were nothing compared to, you know, the guys inside of the UFC, it is all matters about, you know, the lead up to the fight. Like, I had no idea that Gavin Tucker had 2 shoulder surgeries in his 2 years off. And he just went out there and got armbarred right away. So yeah, Diego Lopes is going to be a serious problem, because he's so dangerous. So he's going to be live in every single fight that he's in, because he's dangerous on the feet and he's dangerous on the ground. So he kind of reminds, now I don't want to get too, you know, I don't want to overdo it, but I'm kind of seeing a little bit of Charles Oliveira here. If his striking can get better, it's you know, it's a little Charles Oliveira in him. But yeah, you know, congrats to him. Tanner Boser, I picked this fight correct. I knew that he was going to be able to beat Alexa Kimura. I don't know how anybody, I'm not going to say that because I got picks wrong too, but just for that fight in general, I'm just like, Alexa Kimura is 6-2 in MMA. He has 2 losses, lost to William Knight, and yeah, I just didn't see a way how he was going to be able to come in there and beat Tanner Boser. Like, his boxing, he just likes to wing his boxing, and he just gets tired after the first round. So Yeah, Tanner Boser just did what he had to do. Ignacio Bahamondes, probably the most disappointing between him and Rob Font, but I think this is just more disappointing because I was expecting Corey Sandhagen to win, but I was hoping that Rob Font would push it 5 rounds and put up a good fantasy score for DraftKings. That was my literal thought process. So I wasn't really too upset that Corey won that fight, but for Ignacio Bahamondes to go out there and just look like literal dog shit the entire time versus Ludovic Klein, it's like, bro, really? He just looked like a literal bum. Lazy boxing. Kept trying to use kickboxing when it wasn't working. He was just getting outstruck. Zero resistance on the takedown defense again. It's hilarious to see these strikers like when they just have like, it's MMA. You're not in a boxing fight. You're not in a kickboxing fight. It's MMA. Not everybody could be Israel Adesanya where you can stuff all the takedowns 9 times out of 10 and win striking back exchanges. This doesn't work like that. So you need to work on your game fully. So just a terrible trash performance from him. I don't want to see him back in the cage for like the next year and a half. He needs to go work on his game. The prelims, Kyler Phillips got a nice win over Hani Barcelos. He dropped him, did what he had to do. Jeremiah Wells, that wild fight style finally caught up to him. He was winning the fight and he put himself in a bad position because he's being out of control, and he got kind of choked by Carlson Harris. That fight didn't surprise me too much. I picked that fight to not go the distance. I didn't know who was going to win. I think I might have actually leaned towards Jeremiah Wells in the pick video, but it was extremely low confidence because of this, because he just puts himself in positions he shouldn't even be in to begin with. Billy Quarantillo, I picked him to win that fight. He got the win versus Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson had a good start to the first round. I was surprised that he didn't knock out Billy Quarantillo because his chin is just always in the air, but the thing with Billy Quarantillo is the longer the fight goes, the worse for the opponent. So that's exactly what happened to Damon Jackson. And he just got tired and really couldn't do anything else in the fight. And Billy Quarantillo got the decision. Cody Durden, exactly as I thought with that fight. He should have been the underdog of the night for me. I don't know why I picked Gavin. I just figured that both fighters were both dangerous. Obviously, Diego looks a little bit more dangerous, but he just hadn't been proven inside of the UFC. So that's the only reason why I went with Gavin Tucker. I don't regret it at all because I'm like, Jake Hadley has some talent. He's got 2 wins in the UFC. I'm like, he could possibly, get a win over Cody Durden, and it didn't happen. But, I thought Cody Durden was going to win. But anyways, Cody Durden got the win, unanimous decision. Sean Woodson, short notice opponent, great boxing. He showed some great wrestling, unanimous decision. And then Asu Almabayev with the rear naked choke submission victory over Ode Osborne. So altogether, good night of fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't nothing too crazy. Like, we didn't see no crazy fights. This card, I would say the card was trash. I think everybody thought the card was going to be terrible anyways. A few finishes, but for the most part, we had a lot of decisions. So the card was kind of boring. It wasn't all that great. And then, like I said earlier, the Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul fight wasn't that bad. It was entertaining. Nate Diaz did what he had to do to entertain the crowd. Jake Paul was, very smart, sophisticated. And yeah, you could tell he worked on his cardio because he was gassing in the Tommy Fury fight, but this time he worked on his cardio, so he was able to go the full 10 rounds. And yeah, decent night of fights. And we watched a little bit of WWE too, man. SummerSlam. I didn't watch it all, but we ain't gonna talk about that. Y'all want to see me talk about WWE? Y'all could drop that in the comment section. Maybe further on in the channel we'll talk about that a little bit more because I don't watch it that often anymore. But that's gonna do it for the video, y'all. Y'all already know what to do. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? To go. You know what I'm saying? Don't pay that man. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm crashing out.
I'm like, what the hell is going on?
But look though, for real though, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch y'all boys in the next one, man. Peace.